You don't want to play to a sea of cell phones, do ya? Doing the stand and stare. That's not what music is it? No.
Alright, at the time of recording this, I am snowed in, so it is time to check out some more underground metal albums on Bandcamp from my inbox. Let's start with Demolyn with Slay the Godhead. Alright, same rules as always, just like 30 seconds for each, just enough to kind of pique your interest and then talk about a little bit. One-man black metal band from Gothenburg, Sweden. I'm definitely hearing those Gothenburg kind of melodic death metal influences in there as well. A little bit of like Amon Amarth too, though. I don't know if I would explicitly describe this as just black metal. Definitely seeing the like fantasy kind of energy here, digging that. Cool cover art. Production was very solid. It's got that kind of like cavernous 90s HM2 heavy quality to it. I dig it. I'm just surprised to see it specifically called black metal up here, but there is more in the tags. But yeah, it's just a little bit more of that kind of like swinging Amon Amarth melodic death metal Swedish energy in there. But hey, there's room for both, and that was just one song. But moving on, we have Locust Furnace with Eyes Become the Thorns. Alright, kind of grindcore with a little bit of mathcore energy in there too. They're out of New Jersey, which has quite a scene for that type of sound. The drumming in particular really stood out to me, like some really good, like it was getting my head doing this thing, which is always a good sign. I mean, the vocals could be a little bit better, but I mean, when it comes to like grindier stuff, that kind of comes with the territory. It's supposed to sound a little bit rough and rugged. Looks like we got some guest vocals on here too, but solid trio here. I'm always down for anything on the little more kind of mathy technical side, and we do have mathcore in the tags, and that is always usually a win for me. Next up is Tine with Mergate Maris Profundi. That sounds pretty rad. I wouldn't have expected this to be out of Pennsylvania either. That sounds very sort of, maybe even a little bit like Greek, because the vocals remind me a bit of Rotting Christ, even some of the music elements there, but I'm loving the like symphonic aspect of it, kind of mixing sort of symphonic black and death metal right there in the tags. Production solid. It had a little bit of a rough edge to it, which is kind of good for that, but I don't know, maybe there's some room for growth in there, but overall I was definitely digging what I was hearing. It sounded pretty huge. It did sound maybe a little bit like compressed, I guess, but otherwise that sounds awesome and very much up my alley. I'm such a sucker for any sort of like extreme symphonic music. That fusion of like really heavy guitars and vocals with the orchestration is always something that I enjoy. So yeah, be interested to hear more of that one. We got Lifesick with Loved by None, Hated by All. This was something that I missed out on last November because November is an insane month, but I thought I would include them here. And they are actually newly signed, too, is my understanding. Yeah, that sounds pretty sick. Just a good mix of death metal with hardcore. Also, I see that Andreas of Cabal is on this track. Big Cabal fan. If you haven't listened to them and you like deathcore, you should definitely check them out. But yeah, that's full package. Cheating a little bit here because you can't necessarily call them too underground at this point since they're signed to a major label. But yeah, they're out of Denmark, and I'm digging their sound at this point. Love the cover art. I could see fans of like stuff like Gatecreeper probably eating this up, and yeah, go check them out now. Next up, we have By the Earth's Corpse. That's a good name. With Echoes of Loss. Okay, so they describe themselves here as an extreme metal band, so a lot of different influences here. We got Thought Industry, Anacrusis, Death, Cynic. I can hear some of those things coming through. Also, Atheist, which I'm a big fan of that. Yeah, sounds cool. Production could be a little bit stronger. I feel like there's kind of like a thinness to it. It feels a little bit like distant to me in comparison to some of this other stuff. But maybe if I just turn it up a little bit, it would be fine. There are potentially some loudness wars issues with going through some of these all in one go. But yeah, like a little melodic, a little doomy, but also like technical, a little progressive sounding. So I can definitely hear the kind of like later Death, Atheist, and Cynic influences coming through there. And so yeah, check out their EP. Moving on, we have Exterior Palnet with Haragama 2. Digging those kind of jangly sort of Death Spell Omega sounding guitars, but even taking it to a little bit more of like an avant-garde place, I would say. These guys are out of Croatia, which I hear a lot of like weird and interesting stuff out of Croatia. So add this one to that. What other info we got? Yeah, we got avant-garde metal, black metal, bright metal. Not sure what that means. Progressive black metal. Yeah, I could also see listening to this alongside a couple other kind of avant-garde black metal bands I've covered over the years. There was one in Aeon. Aeon comes to mind, as well as a few others. But yeah, that sounded pretty neat. And another one, just 5 songs, so easy to kind of like check things out. We got a longer song right in the middle too. This one definitely is another one that kind of stands out from the pack with me. Next up, we have Purge of Relics with Monetized Survival. right, a little bit of power violence out of New York. This is a solo project as well. I love me some just raw aggression, and I think when that's the case, just using a more raw production style works. But this one kind of runs into that issue where when it becomes so raw that the audio is like peaking and it's just like scratchy, and it moves from like, oh yeah, this is like rebellious to like it's kind of unpleasant to listen to. So that would be my main feedback for this one. I like just the power of it. I think if I listened to this live, then I would be totally down for it. But the way that it's recorded isn't entirely doing it for me. So do with that what you will. But next up, we have Dreams of Doom with Symphony in a Proud Darkness.
Darkness will always flame. So rise from the ashes and flame and burn. The ashes and flame and burn. Eat flesh and brain.
Really digging the guitar riffs and the synth elements here. Like, very catchy, very hooky. That's getting me in. I'm on the fence with the vocals. They remind me of something else, but I can't put my finger on exactly what. But they're a little odd, which isn't inherently a bad thing, so I wouldn't even say that I dislike them or think that they're bad at this point, but I'm just not sure, is what it comes down to. This is out of Portugal, and digging the cover art for this one, too. I think it goes along with kind of the slightly off-kilter sounding qualities of it. They describe themselves as Death Doom, or Doom Death in this particular case. But I like that it's leaning a little bit more on the death side of things. Very groovy. And yeah, musically sounds very infectious. So I'd be curious to listen to more of this one as well. But next up is Semetra with Gods on Earth. Another kind of interesting pick here. This one out of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Not familiar. And Sarajevo. So it's, I guess, members out of multiple areas. I'm only familiar with Bosnia out of those. But yeah, more alternative metal, a little bit heavy metal here. Sounds interesting. I mean, this sounds very much like something that would have been potentially very popular when I was in like high school, around the time when like nu metal was taking over, but also a lot of like nu metal adjacent kind of stuff was getting popular, like Mushroom Head, like my brain's just not working this morning. But you know what I mean? Maybe some of you out there who had similar experiences, like this isn't nu metal, but it's like something that would have been popular around that same time. Again, kind of on the fence about the vocals. Musically, I think it's interesting. This is definitely one where I feel like I'd have to listen to quite a bit more to get the full scope of exactly what's going on here. So that is why I want you all to do exactly that and check these out in a little bit more detail. This is just but a mere sampling. And by the way, do hit the like button if you're enjoying the video. Comment below the ones that you're enjoying the most, because that helps the video in the algorithm. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. I do these every month, but I also put out all sorts of other videos and like rankings and lists twice a week. So moving on, we have Sulfator with Gemini. that was really getting me at the end there. Interesting mix here. I like those like synth chorals mixed with the thrashier riffs. They do describe themselves as a French tech thrash metal band, but a lot more going on than just that. Reminds me a little bit of what I like about Cryptosis too, which, by the way, if you haven't checked them out, definitely do. New album coming out in March, if I'm remembering correctly, and it's awesome. I've already listened to it. But yeah, that more kind of like techie, but like there's sort of like blackened influences there. There's some death metal in there. There's a lot of progressive elements in there. I am a big fan of those types of thrash metal groups because, frankly, I'm just kind of tired of just like new traditional thrash. You know, I like a little bit more flavor sprinkled in. I think the production could be a bit stronger, but I think that's really my only feedback. This is another one that seems like it's made just for me. Next up, we have Shepherds of Cassini with In Thrall to Heresy. Kind of an interesting mix of both old and new sounds from this New Zealand band. They describe themselves as a psychedelic prog quartet, and it's kind of like a nice union of that more singing kind of monotone part was very 70s sounding, but then a lot of the guitar grooves and some of the heavier parts was very modern sounding. So I dig on that. What else we got in the tags here? Progressive rock, post-metal, post-rock. I'm surprised I don't have any doom in the tags, because there's definitely some like doom elements, especially like more classic doom kind of style in there, but in a way that I like, in a way that sounds interesting. I like this cover art. It gives it also like a little bit more of a sci-fi kind of vibe to it. And yeah, that definitely got a lot of interesting ones today. And as usual, very kind of lots of different styles. Though I feel like even the last couple episodes were a little bit more uniform in terms of like more kind of just traditional black metal, traditional death metal. Getting back into some of the more off the wall stuff here, which is my favorite thing to discover on these episodes. But moving on, we have Doomy with Tales from the Internet Age.
Boss.
All right, I was digging on that accordion. That was unexpected. They describe themselves parodical meme messages delivered with brutal musical craftsmanship and beautiful layers of absurd sonic violence. Okay, then that was coming through. Yeah, it seemed like a little silly. I didn't even play the like intro part, but musically though, it still took itself pretty seriously, which is a mix I appreciate. I think if you're not even taking the music seriously, then it's kind of like, what are we even doing? But yeah, I liked the kind of like folky energy mixed with the death metal energy. Grindcore and gore grind also in the tags, but we didn't necessarily get any of that on this particular song. I have a feeling that, especially with some of these track names, Wolf Daddy Death, Gooping, we probably get a little bit more of that coming through in the later ones. But yeah, it sounds intriguing. And then we have Ice Queen with Eternal Ice and Snow. Okay, very 80s thrash vibes from this New York band, even capturing that in the production. Like, this legit sounds like it could have been It could have been recorded in like 1985 or something in somebody's basement. But yeah, I dig that. I'm not such a fan of this cover. I think the cover kind of sucks. So we could do better there. And I think you'd catch a little bit more attention that way, because cover art's not everything. But I mean, I think of it, especially in this age on streaming services and everything, it's sort of like your thumbnail. And that's what catches attention at the beginning. So that's a big piece of feedback. Musically, though, and even with the production, initially I was like, does this need a little work? But again, I kind of like the retro, ugly quality of it. I think it fits the style of music. So yeah. Sounds good musically, just a little work on the presentation. But yeah, there you go. Y'all check out this playlist for plenty more of these episodes. Thank you as always to you all. You're the real MVPs of the channel for watching this series, especially if you come back time after time, because again, it is the least popular and the least lucrative. So consider also becoming a channel member or supporting on Patreon. Even just $1 gets you like early access to stuff, or you get some custom emojis and things like that on the channel. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.